There was a time I dreamed in blue light. My saber, my purpose, my hope, all bathed in that gentle hue. Now I only see red. Red in my blade. Red in my eyes. Red pooling at my feet. They took my name when they broke me. Sirik Mal died in that chamber on Nur. I am only the 13th brother now. This is my confession. The Imperial shuttle descends through the ash clouds over Giora, an industrial moon orbiting Malastare where the Empire recently detected force sensitivity. I stand in the troop bay, my breathing steady despite the churning in my gut. 6 stormtroopers flank me, their white armor pristine against my black uniform. They do not speak to me, they know better. The sensation crawls up my spine hours before we land. A child, untrained but powerful, like a beacon in the darkness. The Force signature pulses with fear, raw and instinctive. I close my eyes behind my helmet, letting the fear guide me. It tastes familiar. It tastes like mine once did. The settlement comes into view through the viewport. Refineries belch black smoke into an already poisoned sky. Workers scurry like insects at our approach, disappearing into prefabricated homes barely fit for animals. I sense them watching from darkened windows. They know why I have come. I transmit coordinates to the pilot. The child is in the northwest quadrant, a cramped maze of storage containers repurposed as living space. The workers here are mostly Rhodian, brought to process the toxic runoff from Imperial mining operations. They die young. The Empire considers them expendable, as do I. Governor Vetch meets us on the landing pad, his uniform crisp despite the oppressive heat. He is afraid but pretends otherwise. I do not acknowledge his lengthy greeting. I only ask one question. Any reports of unusual incidents? He hesitates. Sweat beads on his forehead. One of the processing plants reported equipment failures, objects moving without being touched. A foreman was found dead, his neck broken though no one was, near him. Textbook manifestation. Untrained, uncontrolled. The signature grows stronger, a pulse beneath the manufactured structures. I motion the troopers forward. Governor Vetch attempts to follow, but I stop him with a raised hand. Remain here, secure the perimeter, no one leaves. The narrow walkways between container homes force us into single file. Clotheslines with faded garments hang overhead. The smell of cooking oil and chemical waste permeates everything. Children peer from behind makeshift curtains, quickly pulled away by worried parents. They think hiding will save them. Nothing saves anyone from the Inquisitorius. The Force signature suddenly spikes, a surge of panic. The child knows we are coming. I quicken my pace, following the trail of fear through the labyrinth. The stormtroopers struggle to keep up, their armor clattering against the metal walls of the containers. We reach a dead end. A lone container, rust eating through its sides, sits before us. The door is sealed with a crude magnetic lock. I ignite my lightsaber, the crimson blade humming with anticipation. With a single motion, I slice through the lock. The door slides open with a groan of protest. Inside, a Rhodian woman clutches a small child to her chest. Her eyes are wide with terror, antennae trembling. The child, no more than 5 standard years, stares at me with an intensity that belies his age. I feel the Force swirling around him, untamed, powerful. Please, the woman whispers in broken basic. He is just a boy. I step forward, deactivating my lightsaber but keeping it in hand. The child comes with me by order of the Emperor. The woman backs away, stumbling against a makeshift bed. He has done nothing wrong. His existence is wrong, I reply, the words mechanical through my helmet vocoder. But he can be made right. He can serve a greater purpose. The boy suddenly speaks, his voice steady despite his fear. You are like me. The statement catches me off guard. I feel Force probing, untrained, but instinctive. He senses the power within me, recognizes our shared burden. For a moment, just a moment, I remember the temple. The younglings gathered around Master Yoda, learning to feel the living Force. That moment of weakness costs me. The container suddenly groans, metal panels bending inward as the child unconsciously lashes out with the force. One of the stormtroopers is crushed against the wall, his armor cracking under the pressure. The others raise their blasters. "Hold," I command, extending my hand. I seize the child with the force, lifting him from his mother's arms. She screams, clawing at the invisible grip that takes her son. The boy struggles, his face contorted in a mixture of fear and rage. I feel his mind pushing against mine, raw power without technique. "Your resistance honors your potential," I tell him as I bring him closer. But it is futile. The container continues to compress around us, the remaining troopers back toward the exit. The Rhodian mother lunges at me, a vibroblade appearing in her hand. I do not even look at her as I send her flying backward with a casual gesture. She hits the wall with a sickening crack and slides to the floor. The child screams. The force erupts from him in a shockwave that throws me back through the doorway. I land on my feet, sliding several meters across the metal walkway. Impressive. Lord Vader will be pleased with this one. I straighten, igniting my lightsaber again. The red glow reflects off the metal surfaces around us, casting everything in a bloody hue. The stormtroopers take positions behind me, blasters aimed at the container. "Bring him alive," I order. "Kill anyone who interferes." The troopers advance. Blaster fire illuminates the narrow space. I hear screaming, both from the container and the surrounding dwellings. The residents are panicking now, emerging from their homes only to be driven back by Imperial fire. The child emerges from the container, walking with unnatural steadiness. Objects orbit around him, tools, dishes, scraps of metal, all suspended by his unconscious command of the Force. His eyes glow with anger, tears streaming down his green face. Behind him, I glimpse his mother, motionless on the floor. "Your mother chose her fate," I tell him. "You can choose yours." "I hate you," the child responds, his voice breaking. I nod. "Good. Hate is a beginning." The objects spinning around him suddenly launch in my direction. I deflect them effortlessly with my lightsaber and the Force, advancing steadily. The child backs away, his power impressive but unfocused. I reach out with the Force, not to attack, but to touch his mind. I show him glimpses of what awaits. The fortress on Nur. The training. The pain that forges weakness into strength. I show him Lord Vader, a mountain of black fury. I show him the alternative, death, here and now, meaningless and forgotten. The child falters, his concentration breaking. The objects around him clatter to the ground. I seize the opportunity, gripping him with the Force and pulling him to me. He struggles weakly as I place a restraining cuff on his small wrist. The cuff injects a sedative, and his eyes begin to close. "You will thank me one day," I tell him, though I know it is a lie. No one thanks their tormentors, not even when they become tormentors themselves. As we return to the shuttle, the settlement burns behind us. Standard procedure for Force-sensitive extractions. Eliminate witnesses, destroy evidence, create a tragedy to explain the disappearance. I carry the unconscious child, so small against my black armor. Governor Vetch watches from the landing pad, his face pale. "Was this necessary?" he asks, gesturing to the flames consuming the container district. "Insurgent activity," I reply tonelessly. "Report it as such." The governor nods, understanding his role in the fiction we are creating. Another tragedy in an endless series, forgotten as soon as it is reported. On the shuttle, I secure the child in a containment cell. His Force presence has dimmed with sedation, but I can still feel it pulsing like a heartbeat. So much potential, so much pain ahead. I remove my helmet in the privacy of my quarters, staring at the reflection in the polished surface. Yellow eyes rimmed with red stare back at me. I barely recognize my own face, scarred from the left temple to jaw, skin pallid from years without sunlight. I was handsome once, I think. I had friends who would laugh at my jokes. I had a master who believed in me. The Grand Inquisitor will be pleased with this recruitment. One more potential Jedi turned to the service of the Empire. One more weapon against the light. But as I replace my helmet and return to the bridge, I feel the familiar pressure behind my eyes. The beginning of visions that will haunt my sleep cycle. They always come after a capture. The faces of those I once called brothers and sisters. The younglings who looked up to me as a Padawan. Master Tao, who died trying to protect me during Order 66. They stand in a circle around my bed, silent, accusing. Sometimes I see the face of the man I once was among them. I push these thoughts away. Weakness is death in the Inquisitorius. Lord Vader senses doubt as a nexus of vulnerability. I have seen what happens to those who falter, those who feel the pull to the light. Their lightsabers adorn the Grand Inquisitor's wall, trophies of failure. The shuttle breaks atmosphere, the burning settlement now just a tiny speck of orange against the grey moon. Another successful mission. Another child who will be broken and remade, as I was. Another victory for the darkness. I tell myself it is necessary. I tell myself there is no other way. But beneath the helmet, where no probe can detect it, where not even Lord Vader can see, a single tear traces a path down my scarred cheek. I wipe it away before anyone can witness my shame. The fortress on Nur rises from the black water like a monument to suffering. No structure in the galaxy inspires more dread in those who know its purpose. Even approaching it in an Imperial shuttle, my heart rate increases. The fortress is home, the only home I have now, but it is a home built on screams. I stand at the viewport as the landing procedure begins. The child stirs in the containment cell behind me. The sedative is wearing off. I can sense his confusion, then his fear as memory returns. The force flares around him, testing the containment field. He is powerful, certainly, but power alone will not save him here. Prepare the prisoner for transfer. I order the stormtroopers. They move with practiced efficiency, adjusting the containment field to mobile mode. The child floats in a suspended state, immobilized but conscious. His eyes follow me, wide with terror and hatred. We descend the ramp into the fortress landing bay. The air here always tastes of salt and metal, a combination that once made me retch, but now registers as familiar. 2 purge troopers stand at attention, their specialized armor marking them as elite hunters of Jedi. Beyond them waits the second sister, her helmet gleaming in the harsh light. 13th brother. She greets me, her modulated voice revealing nothing. The Grand Inquisitor awaits your report. I nod, motioning the stormtroopers to transfer the child to the purge troopers. Tell him the subject is intact and force-sensitive. Preliminary assessment indicates exceptional potential. The second sister circles the floating child, examining him like a specimen. So small, she muses. They break easier when they are young. The child spits at her, the gesture of defiance impressive given his restraints. The second sister merely laughs, a sound devoid of humor. Spirit too, that will make the breaking more satisfying. I feel a twist of something I refuse to name. Not sympathy, not regret. Those emotions were purged from me long ago. But something echoes in the hollow space where my compassion once resided. I silence it with practiced discipline. I will report to the Grand Inquisitor, I say, turning away. The subject requires immediate processing. The second sister tilts her head, studying me through her visor. She suspects my discomfort, my momentary weakness. She is always watching for signs of failure among her brothers and sisters. Advancement in the Inquisitorius comes through the elimination of competition. Of course, she replies. Though Lord Vader has expressed personal interest in this capture, he may wish to oversee the initial conditioning himself. The mention of Vader sends a chill through me that I fight to conceal. Lord Vader, present for the conditioning. That is unusual, reserved only for subjects of significant potential or special interest. I glance back at the child, re-evaluating his importance. I was unaware of Lord Vader's interest in this particular subject. The second sister shrugs, the gesture oddly casual for one so rigid. Perhaps he senses something special in this one, or perhaps he questions your methods, 13th brother. Your last 3 acquisitions did not survive conditioning. The accusation hangs between us. Failure is not tolerated in the Inquisitorius. 3 failed conditionings suggests incompetence, or worse, deliberate sabotage. I straighten, letting my hand rest near my lightsaber. My loyalty is beyond question, second sister. Loyalty is proven continually, she replies, not declared once and assumed eternal. We stand in momentary standoff, the child floating forgotten between us. This is the way of the Inquisitorius, constant tests of resolve, continuous assessment of weakness. I broke under such pressure once, I emerged reforged. I will not break again. The tension dissipates as a communication alert sounds. The second sister checks her wrist display. The Grand Inquisitor commands your presence in the interrogation chamber. Immediately, I nod, hiding my unease. The interrogation chamber is not the usual venue for mission debriefings. It suggests I am to be questioned rather than the child. I glance at the Rhodian boy as the purge troopers take him away. His eyes remain fixed on me, accusing. "What is your name, child?" I ask suddenly, surprising even myself with the question. The second sister stiffens beside me. Names are forbidden for subjects. They are to be stripped of identity before being reforged. My query violates protocol. The child looks at me with eyes too old for his face. "Toba," he says softly. "My name is Toba." I nod once, committing it to memory, though I know I should not. That name no longer exists. Subject. Remember it only as what you once were, never what you will become. The second sister makes a sound that might be approval as the purge troopers carry Toba away. I watch until they disappear through the security doors, then turn toward the interrogation wing. "Your hesitation is noted, 13th brother," the second sister says as I pass. "Consider whether it reveals more than you intend." I ignore her warning, striding through the fortress corridors with forced confidence. Fellow Inquisitors and Imperial personnel move out of my path, eyes averted. Fear is currency here, and I have amassed enough to purchase a wide berth. The interrogation chamber door hisses open at my approach. Inside, the Grand Inquisitor stands before a holographic display of my mission telemetry. Every Inquisitor helmet records constantly, transmitting data back to the fortress. Every action scrutinized, every word analyzed. The circular room is dominated by the interrogation table, its restraints currently empty but ready. The air smells of ozone and fear. 13th brother, the Grand Inquisitor turns, his pale face severe beneath the red markings of his species. "Your mission was successful, yet I sense disturbance in you." I kneel, head bowed, a posture of submission. "The subject was acquired as ordered, Grand Inquisitor. Any disturbance you sense is merely fatigue from the mission." "Indeed." His footsteps circle me, predatory. "Remove your helmet." I comply, knowing resistance would only confirm his suspicions. The cool air touches my face, and I keep my eyes downcast. "Look at me," he commands. I raise my gaze to meet his. The Grand Inquisitor studies me, his yellow eyes probing more than my physical appearance. He reaches into the Force, touching my mind with invasive precision. I maintain my mental shields, as I was trained, allowing him to sense only what I choose to reveal. Determination, loyalty, resolve. "You questioned the subject's name," he says finally. "Why?" "Tactical assessment," I reply without hesitation. Names often reveal lineage, potential Force traditions in the family. It aids in developing an effective conditioning strategy. The Grand Inquisitor's expression remains impassive. A reasonable explanation, yet unnecessary. The subject's background has been thoroughly investigated. His potential was flagged through the mandatory blood screening program. His midi-chlorian count exceeds Imperial thresholds by a significant margin. This information surprises me. Blood screening is routine on core worlds, but Giora is a remote outpost. The settlement was not scheduled for blood screening for another cycle. The screening was specifically targeted, the Grand Inquisitor reveals, returning to the holographic display. Based on intelligence suggesting a Jedi fugitive passed through the sector approximately 5 standard years ago. 5 years, the child's age. The implications align in my mind with disturbing clarity. The boy is offspring of a Jedi, I state rather than ask. The Grand Inquisitor smiles, a cold expression that never reaches his eyes. Now you understand Lord Vader's interest. The genetic analysis confirms paternal markers consistent with a known Jedi fugitive, Master Koth Voss. The name strikes me like a physical blow. Koth Voss. I knew him, we served together briefly during the Clone Wars. A skilled healer and negotiator, known for his compassion. I remember his gentle humor, his patience with younglings. I maintain my composure with supreme effort. Master Voss was reported eliminated 3 standard years ago. By your hand, if I recall correctly. The Grand Inquisitor notes, watching me closely, one of your early successes as an Inquisitor. The memory surfaces unbidden. Koth, older, weary, cornered on an abandoned space station in the Outer Rim, his green lightsaber a blur as he defended himself against my attacks. His voice, calling my former name, pleading not with fear but with sorrow. The shock in his eyes when my blade finally pierced his chest. I did not know he had a son. I completed my mission. I say, voice steady despite the turmoil within. Master Voss was eliminated as ordered. And now his bloodline will serve the Empire. The Grand Inquisitor concludes with satisfaction. A fitting end to the Jedi legacy. You will oversee the child's conditioning personally, 13th brother. Lord Vader believes your connection to the Father makes you uniquely qualified to break the Son. The assignment is both an honor and a test. Success would elevate my standing. Failure would likely mean my execution. The Grand Inquisitor knows this, and I suspect he hopes for the latter. My rapid rise through the ranks of the Inquisitorius has made me enemies, even among those I call brothers and sisters. I am honored by Lord Vader's confidence. I respond, the words tasting like ash. When does conditioning begin? Immediately, the Grand Inquisitor replies. Lord Vader arrives tomorrow. He expects progress. I replace my helmet, grateful for the mask that hides my expression. Then I will not disappoint him. The Grand Inquisitor waves his hand in dismissal. See that you do not. Remember, 13th brother, that you too once sat in the conditioning chair. You too once resisted, and you too eventually broke. Use that knowledge. Show the child his future. I bow and exit, my steps measured until I am alone in the corridor. Only then do I pause, leaning against the cold metal wall. Fighting for control. The fortress seems to close in around me, its weight oppressive on my shoulders. Koth Voss had a son I am now tasked with breaking, with transforming into a weapon against everything his father stood for. A son whose mother now lies dead in a burning settlement because I put her there. For the first time in years, I question whether I can complete my mission. Not from lack of ability, but from something deeper, something the conditioning should have burned away, something dangerously close to conscience. I straighten, pushing the doubt away. There is no place for weakness here. The child will break because all children break. I will mold him into a servant of the Empire because that is what I am. The alternative is death for us both. I move toward the conditioning wing, each step taking me further from the man I once was and deeper into the darkness I have chosen. The conditioning chamber is a monument to imperial efficiency in the art of breaking spirits. Circular, with a raised platform in the center holding the interrogation apparatus. Surrounding the platform are monitoring stations where medical droids and imperial scientists observe and record every moment of a subject's transformation. Toba floats in a containment field at the center, still dressed in the ragged clothes from Jorah. They will be replaced with the training uniform of an Inquisitor initiate, but only after the first phase of conditioning is complete, only after he learns that his past life no longer exists. I stand at the primary control station, reviewing the conditioning protocols. Standard procedure begins with sensory disorientation, followed by sleep deprivation, then physical stress. Only when the body is weakened do we begin to attack the mind. The process is brutal but effective. Few subjects maintain resistance beyond the third day. Initiate preliminary scan. I order the lead medical droid, a specialized ITO unit designed specifically for inquisitorious operations. The droid hovers forward, multiple appendages extending toward the containment field. Subject displays elevated stress hormones and signs of dehydration. It reports in a monotone. Recommendation: hydration and sedation before commencing physical evaluation. Denied, I respond. Discomfort serves the process. Begin baseline neural mapping. The droid complies, inserting a scanner through the containment field. Toba flinches as the cold metal touches his temple, but remains silent. His eyes find mine across the chamber, defiant despite his fear. "You killed my mother," he says, his voice small but steady. The Imperial scientists glance up from their stations, surprised by the direct address. Subjects rarely speak during preliminary procedures. "Your mother chose her fate," I reply mechanically, "as you must choose yours." "There is no choice here," Toba responds with unexpected clarity. "Only what you will take from me." His perception unsettles me. Children his age, especially those without training, should not possess such awareness. I approach the containment field, studying him more closely. "You are correct, subject. I will take everything: your name, your past, your resistance. I will remake you in service to the Empire. The process will be painful, but temporary. Acceptance brings relief." Toba meets my gaze without wavering. "My father said there is always choice, even when it seems there is none." The mention of his father freezes me momentarily. I signal the droid to pause its scan. "Your father spoke of many things, I am sure. Did he speak of how he abandoned you and your mother to die alone on that toxic moon?" A flicker of uncertainty crosses Toba's face. "He said he would return. And yet he did not," I press, seizing the vulnerability. "He chose the Jedi way, over you, over your mother. He left you unprotected in a galaxy that hunts force sensitives like animals." Toba's lower lip trembles slightly. "You knew my father." It is not a question, but a statement of intuition. The Force flows strongly in him, allowing insights beyond his years. I consider lying, but decide truth will serve the conditioning better. Break his connection to his father, and breaking his resistance becomes simpler. I knew Koth Vos, I admit. I knew him as a Jedi. And I knew him in his final moments. Understanding dawns in the child's eyes, followed by a surge of hatred so powerful it ripples through the Force. The containment field fluctuates, sensors blaring warnings as Toba unconsciously pushes against his restraints. "You killed him," Toba whispers, tears streaming down his face. "You killed my father." "Yes," I confirm, monitoring the spikes in his neural readings. Hatred is useful. Hatred can be channeled. I hunted him across 17 systems. I cornered him in an abandoned medical station, and I extinguished his life with my lightsaber. The containment field shudders violently. Alarms sound throughout the chamber. The medical droid backs away, its programming recognizing danger. The Imperial scientists look to me with concern, fingers hovering over emergency protocols. "Increase containment power," I order calmly. "Continue neural mapping." The droid hesitates. Subject neurology indicates imminent Force event. Containment field may not withstand surge at current parameters. Then increase parameters. I snap. This subject has exceptional potential. Document everything. As the droid adjusts the containment field, I circle the platform, never breaking eye contact with Toba. His hatred is a tangible thing, a dark energy swirling around him. I reach out with my own power, probing the edges of his consciousness, testing his mental defenses. They are surprisingly strong for one untrained. Images flash between us as our minds connect. Koth Vos, kneeling before a much younger Toba, placing a small kyber crystal in his tiny palm, a whispered promise to return, a mother's reassurances growing hollower with each passing year. Nights spent staring at the stars, reaching out with untrained senses, searching for a presence that never responds. I withdraw from his mind, unsettled by the intimacy of the connection. The memories are too similar to my own, from a time before the Inquisitorius, before the Empire, when I too waited for a master who never returned. Your father died believing you would carry on his legacy. I tell Toba, the words emerging before I can consider their impact. He spoke your name with his last breath. This is a lie, but a purposeful one. Give the child closure, then take it away. Create an emotional peak, then shatter it. Standard conditioning technique. Toba stills, his anger momentarily replaced by desperate hope. He remembered me? Of course, I continue, moving closer to the containment field. How could he forget his greatest failure? His final words were of regret that he had sired a child too weak to save himself, too insignificant to be worth returning for. The hope in Toba's eyes dies, replaced by confusion, then fresh pain. I push harder, twisting the emotional knife. He knew you were force-sensitive. He knew the Empire would eventually find you, yet he chose to hide rather than protect you. What kind of father makes such a choice, Toba? What kind of Jedi? You lie, Toba whispers, but doubt clouds his features. I have no need to lie, I respond. Your fate is sealed regardless of what you believe. But ask yourself why a Jedi Master, capable of extraordinary feats through the Force, would leave his only son to rot on a mining moon. The answer is simple. You were unworthy of his attention, as you were unworthy of the legacy he carried. The containment field stabilizes as Toba's emotional turmoil turns inward. This is the first crack in his resistance, the first opening for the conditioning to take root. Doubt is more effective than pain for breaking Jedi connections. Physical suffering can be transcended through Force techniques, but doubt corrupts from within. Initial neural mapping complete. The medical droid announces. Subject displays unusually developed Force pathways for his age and lack of formal training. I review the holographic representation of Toba's neural structure. The droid is correct. The connections associated with Force sensitivity are remarkably advanced. In a temple environment, with proper Jedi training, this child might have become exceptional. That potential now belongs to the Empire. Begin Phase 1 conditioning, I instruct. Sensory disorientation protocol, maximum intensity. Duration 12 hours. The scientists exchange glances. Maximum intensity is not standard for a subject this young. One ventures cautiously. I turn my head slowly toward the speaker, letting my displeasure radiate through the Force. The scientist pales, swallowing visibly. The standard is what I determine it to be, I state flatly. Maximum intensity, 12 hours. Record all responses for analysis. As the team rushes to comply, I approach Toba once more. What follows will be difficult, I tell him, my voice lowered so only he can hear. It will feel endless. But remember this, child. I too once stood where you stand. I too once believed in the Jedi way. And I too learned the truth of power. This is not the end of your story, but the beginning. Toba stares at me, tears still wet on his cheeks. I will never be like you. I lean closer, my helmet nearly touching the containment field. Everyone says that at first. I step back and nod to the control team. The chamber lights dim as the conditioning apparatus activates. The containment field fills with a disorienting swirl of light and sound, a carefully calibrated assault on the senses designed to break down cognitive resistance. Toba's small form twitches as the process begins, his eyes wide with confusion and fear. I watch for several minutes, ensuring the protocols are properly executed. The medical droid hovers nearby, monitoring vital signs to prevent permanent damage. We want the subject broken, not destroyed. The Empire has invested too much in this acquisition to waste the potential. Maintain current parameters until my return. I instruct the lead scientist. I will oversee the transition to Phase 2 personally. I exit the conditioning chamber, the child's muffled cries following me into the corridor. The sound should satisfy me. Each step of the process brings us closer to a new Inquisitor, another weapon against the remaining Jedi, another victory for Lord Vader and the Emperor. Instead, I feel only hollowness, a void where triumph should reside. I tell myself it is fatigue, the toll of constant vigilance and service. I tell myself I require rest before Lord Vader's arrival. I do not tell myself the truth, that in Toba's defiance, I see my own lost resistance, that in his pain, I remember what it was to be unmade. My private quarters are Spartan, as befits an Inquisitor. A narrow bed, a meditation space, a small refresher unit. No personal items, no mementos, nothing to suggest individuality or past attachment. The walls are bare metal, the lighting harsh and functional. It is less a living space than a maintenance bay for a human weapon. I remove my helmet and armor methodically, placing each piece on the designated rack. The process is ritualistic, a transition from Inquisitor to mere human, though never completely. The darkness follows me even here, in the privacy of my quarters. I catch sight of my reflection in the polished surface of my helmet. Yellow eyes stare back, ringed with fatigue and something else. Something I refuse to name. I turn away, moving to the small console embedded in the wall. I must review Toba's preliminary data before sleep cycle, prepare for the next phase of conditioning. The console chimes with an incoming transmission, Priority Level Alpha, the Grand Inquisitor. I accept the transmission, straightening my posture despite my exhaustion. The Grand Inquisitor's hologram flickers into existence, his expression as severe as always. 13th Brother. Report on the subject's initial conditioning. Phase 1 is proceeding as scheduled, I respond. The subject displays exceptional force sensitivity and strong mental resistance. However, vulnerabilities have been identified and are being exploited. The Grand Inquisitor nods, seemingly satisfied. Lord Vader's shuttle has advanced its arrival schedule. He will reach the fortress in 6 hours. My pulse quickens involuntarily. 6 hours is not sufficient time to show meaningful progress in conditioning. Understood. I will accelerate the protocols. See that you do, the Grand Inquisitor replies. Lord Vader has a specific interest in this subject that goes beyond typical recruitment. He believes the boy may have knowledge of other Jedi fugitives through his father. This is unexpected information. The subject is only 5 standard years old. Any knowledge would be fragmentary at best. Nevertheless, Lord Vader wishes to extract it personally. The Grand Inquisitor's expression suggests he finds this unusual, perhaps even concerning. Prepare the subject for deep interrogation. Lord Vader will not waste time with gradual conditioning. Deep interrogation. The euphemism chills me. I have witnessed Lord Vader's interrogation techniques. Few subjects survive with their minds intact. For a child as young as Toba, Grand Inquisitor, the subject's potential value as a future Inquisitor is considerable, I say carefully. Deep interrogation at this stage risks permanent cognitive damage. Perhaps a more measured approach would better serve the Emperor's interests. The Grand Inquisitor studies me through the hologram, his eyes narrowing. You question Lord Vader's methods, 13th Brother? I recognize the danger immediately. Not at all. I merely suggest optimization of the asset's potential. Your concern for operational efficiency is noted, the Grand Inquisitor replies, his tone making it clear he suspects other motivations. However, Lord Vader's commands supersede standard protocols. Prepare the subject as instructed. The transmission ends abruptly, leaving me staring at empty air. 6 hours. 6 hours before Vader arrives to potentially destroy a mind that could serve the Empire for decades. 6 hours before I am expected to deliver Toba for what will likely be his execution, mental if not physical. I should feel nothing about this. The child is merely a subject, a potential asset to be utilized as our superiors direct. Yet as I return to the conditioning chamber, my thoughts are turbulent. The scientists and droids have maintained the sensory disorientation protocol as instructed. Toba floats in the containment field, his small body occasionally twitching in response to stimuli only he can perceive. The neural monitors show increased stress patterns, but his resistance remains stronger than anticipated. End Phase 1. I order. The disorientation field dissipates, leaving Toba hanging limply in the containment beam. His eyes are unfocused, pupils dilated from the extended sensory assault. Subject has not reached optimal disorientation thresholds, the medical droid observes. Recommended protocol is continuation of Phase 1 for minimum 4 additional hours. Protocol has changed, I respond, approaching the platform. Lord Vader arrives in 6 hours. The subject must be prepared for deep interrogation. The lead scientist pales visibly. He understands what this means. Sir, deep interrogation without proper conditioning preparation may result in permanent neural damage. The subject is unusually young for such procedures. Your concerns are noted and irrelevant, I reply coldly. Prepare Interrogation Suite 3. Full neural interface, maximum sensitivity. Program the system to map and isolate all memory centers. The team moves to comply, though I sense their unease. Even in the Inquisitorius, where cruelty is methodology, there are boundaries rarely crossed. Deep interrogation of a child is one such boundary. I step closer to the containment field, watching as awareness slowly returns to Toba's eyes. He blinks, focusing on my helmet with visible effort. The pain has only begun, I tell him, my vocoder rendering the words flat and merciless. Soon Lord Vader himself will extract every memory, every thought, every secret your father may have shared with you. Toba's lips move, forming words too quiet to hear. I reduce the field strength slightly, allowing his voice to carry. My father, he whispers hoarsely, told me about men like you, men who lost their way, men who chose fear over strength. The words strike with unexpected precision. I maintain my posture, grateful for the helmet that hides my expression. Your father knew nothing of true strength. True strength comes from embracing fear, using it, becoming it. No, Toba responds, his voice growing firmer despite his exhaustion. My father said true strength is protecting those who cannot protect themselves. For a moment, I am transported back to the Jedi Temple, to lessons in the same philosophy. Master Yoda speaking of compassion as strength, not weakness. Master Windu teaching that the true measure of power was restraint, not dominance. Lessons I abandoned in the interrogation chamber when the pain became too great. Your father is dead, I say harshly. His philosophy died with him. Soon, his memory will die as well. Lord Vader will scour it from your mind, leaving nothing but emptiness for us to fill with imperial doctrine. I turn to the medical droid. Begin intravenous stabilizers. The subject must remain conscious through the entire interrogation. As the droid approaches with a hypodermic injector, Toba speaks again. My father told me you were once called Saric Mal. I freeze, the name striking like a physical blow. That name belongs to a dead man, a weak man who broke under torture, a name I have not heard spoken aloud in years. Your father lied, I respond, though the slight tremor in my voice betrays me. Saric Mal died during the purge. No, Toba insists, his eyes suddenly clear and focused on mine through the helmet visor. My father said you could still be saved, that no one is ever truly gone. The medical droid pauses, sensing my tension. The scientists at their stations pretend to focus on their instruments, but I feel their attention on this unexpected exchange. This is dangerous. Any suggestion of connection to my former identity could be reported as weakness, as potential sedition. I raise my hand, using the force to constrict Toba's throat slightly, just enough to silence him. Your father was a fool who died begging for mercy, as you will beg before Lord Vader is finished with you. I release the pressure, allowing Toba to gasp for air. Complete preparations. I order the team. I will return with Lord Vader. I stride from the chamber, maintaining rigid posture until the doors seal behind me. Only then do I lean against the corridor wall, removing my helmet to gulp recycled air that suddenly seems too thin. Koth Vos knew my name. He told his son about me, which means he believed I could be redeemed even after I struck him down. The notion is absurd. Redemption is not possible for those who have fallen as far as I have. The dark side is a one-way journey, a truth Lord Vader himself embodies, yet the thought persists, a splinter in my mind that conditioning failed to remove. What if Koth was right? What if there is still a choice? I shake my head violently, dispelling the dangerous thoughts. This is weakness, the very weakness the Inquisitorius was created to eliminate. I am the 13th brother. I serve the Empire. I hunt Jedi. That is my purpose, my identity. Nothing else matters. I replace my helmet and continue toward my quarters. I need meditation before Vader arrives, need to center myself in the darkness, to drown out the voice that whispers of impossible choices, of redemption. Behind me, a child awaits a fate I once suffered. Before me, a master who will accept nothing less than total obedience. Between them, I stand at a crossroads I never expected to face again. The hours pass like moments. Meditation brings no clarity, only deeper conflict. When the alert sounds, indicating Lord Vader's shuttle has entered the Nur system, I am still sitting in my quarters, helmet in my hands, staring at the reflection of eyes that seem less yellow than they were before. I move through the fortress with mechanical precision, joining the assembly of Inquisitors and Imperial officers in the main hangar. We stand in formation, a black-clad honor guard for the Emperor's enforcer. The second sister takes position beside me, her mask turned slightly in my direction. The child has strong resistance, she observes quietly. Lord Vader will not be pleased if the conditioning has made inadequate progress. The timetable was accelerated at the Grand Inquisitor's order. I respond neutrally. Standard protocols were necessarily abbreviated. She makes a sound that might be amusement. Excuses will not satisfy Lord Vader, particularly from you, 13th brother. Your rapid advancement has not gone unnoticed nor unquestioned. Before I can respond, the distinctive scream of TIE fighter engines announces Vader's arrival. The sleek black shuttle descends into the hangar, escorted by 4 TIE fighters that peel away at the last moment. The shuttle lands with precise grace, its ramp extending before the engines fully power down. We straighten to perfect attention as the familiar rhythmic breathing echoes through the hangar. Lord Vader emerges from the shuttle, a mountain of black armor and focused malevolence. The Force darkens around him, a cold pressure that makes even trained Inquisitors tense involuntarily. The Grand Inquisitor steps forward, bowing deeply. Lord Vader, we are honored by your presence. All preparations have been made as commanded. Vader does not acknowledge the greeting. His masked visage surveys the assembled Inquisitors, eventually fixing on me. I feel his focus like a physical weight. 13th brother, his mechanized voice booms across the hangar. You acquired the subject? I step forward, kneeling as protocol demands. Yes, my lord, the Rhodian male has been prepared for your interrogation. Rise. Vader commands, walk with me. I comply, falling into step beside the Dark Lord as he strides from the hangar. The other Inquisitors remain behind, though I feel the second sister's gaze following us. This private audience is both honor and threat. Tell me of the child's resistance, Vader demands as we move through the fortress corridors. Unusually strong, my lord. Despite his age, he demonstrates remarkable control of his Force abilities. Initial conditioning has met with limited success. Vader's breathing fills the silence between my words. You knew his father. It is not a question, and the implication is clear. Vader suspects my past connection may compromise my effectiveness. I encountered Koth Vos during the purge, my lord. I executed him as ordered. Yet his offspring stirs something within you, Vader observes, something that should have been purged along with your former identity. I maintain my stride, fighting to keep my voice steady. My loyalty to the Empire is absolute. Lord Vader. Loyalty born of fear is reliable, Vader responds, until a greater fear presents itself. We reach the interrogation suite where Toba waits. Vader pauses before the entrance, turning to face me directly. Even after years in his service, his presence remains overwhelming, a black hole in the Force that threatens to consume everything around it. What do you fear more, 13th brother? My displeasure or the memory of who you once were? The question strikes at the core of my conflict. I search for the answer that will satisfy him, that will ensure my survival. But in this moment, facing the embodiment of the path I have chosen, truth emerges unbidden. I fear that I have become something worse than what I once fought against, my lord. Vader is motionless, only his breathing marking the passage of seconds. I have signed my death warrant with this admission. My hand instinctively moves toward my lightsaber, though I know resistance would be futile. Good, Vader says finally, surprising me. Fear of the self is power, properly harnessed. It drives us to greater heights than fear of others ever could. He activates the door mechanism, the panel sliding open to reveal Toba suspended in the interrogation apparatus. The child looks even smaller against the Imperial machinery, neural probes positioned around his head like a grotesque crown. Now, Vader continues, we will see if that fear serves the Empire or betrays it. We enter the interrogation suite. The assembled scientists and medical droids bow at Vader's approach, then quickly return to their stations. The air feels charged, tense with anticipation and dread. Vader moves to the central platform, studying Toba with the expressionless mask that has terrified the galaxy. The child stares back, fear evident but not dominant in his expression. Begin the neural interface, Vader commands. The lead scientist hesitates. My lord, the subject has not completed preliminary conditioning. The interface may cause severe trauma at maximum settings. Vader extends his hand slightly. The scientist clutches at his throat, lifted inches off the floor by invisible force. The interface. Begin it. Now. The remaining team scrambles to comply as their colleague is unceremoniously dropped to the floor, gasping for air. The neural probes activate, descending toward Toba's temples. The child flinches but cannot escape the contact. Monitor his vital signs. I instruct the medical droid, earning a glance from Vader that I cannot interpret through his mask. The probes connect, and Toba's body goes rigid. His eyes widen as the machine begins extracting memories, projecting them as holographic fragments above the platform. Disjointed images appear and dissolve. A smiling Rhodian woman. The toxic skies of Giora, a green lightsaber igniting in darkness. Vader steps closer, his focus intense on the fragmented memories. Find all instances of Jedi contact. He orders the system operator. All mentions of safe houses, meeting points, or communication methods. The images shift, flickering rapidly as the system sorts through Toba's memories. The child moans softly, blood beginning to trickle from his nose. The neural interface is operating beyond safe parameters, tearing through his mind rather than carefully extracting information. Vital signs becoming unstable, the medical droid reports. Recommend reduction in interface intensity. Vader ignores the warning. Continue. New images form. Koth Vos, kneeling before his son. A small object passing between them, words spoken earnestly. The memory is significant but fragmentary. Isolate this sequence, Vader commands. Enhance and stabilize. The system focuses on the memory, strengthening the image. Koth's face becomes clearer, his expression solemn as he places something in his son's hand. The audio reconstructs, distorted but intelligible. Keep this hidden, Toba. When the time comes, it will guide you to others like us. To safety. Vader leans forward. What did he give the boy? The memory zooms closer. In Toba's tiny palm rests a Jedi holocron, its intricate geometric patterns unmistakable. A repository of knowledge, but also potentially a communication device. Holocron communication frequencies, Vader says, satisfaction evident in his voice. The key to finding the remaining Jedi on network. Toba convulses suddenly, the neural monitors flashing warning symbols. Critical neural stress detected, the medical droid announces. Subject approaching terminal thresholds. Extract the holocron location, Vader insists, unmoved by the child's suffering. I step forward before I can reconsider. My lord, the subject cannot withstand further extraction. The holocron likely remains on Giora. I can return immediately to recover it. Vader turns to me, the black lenses of his mask revealing nothing. You wish to save the child. It is not a question, not a request for clarification. It is an accusation of weakness, of lingering attachment to Jedi ideals. I wish to preserve a valuable asset for the Empire, I respond, maintaining formal tone. This subject has exceptional potential as a future Inquisitor. The holocron is of greater value than one potential recruit, Vader counters. Continue the extraction. The interface intensifies. Toba screams, a sound that penetrates even the emotional barriers of my conditioning. Blood vessels rupture in his eyes, turning the sclera crimson. His small body arches against the restraints as his mind is systematically destroyed for the information it contains. New memories surface, but increasingly distorted. Koth Vos speaking urgently, coordinates appearing, then fragmenting, names mentioned, then lost in the deterioration of the memory itself. Toba's consciousness is collapsing under the assault. Something shifts within me. A decision crystallizes, not through lengthy deliberation but through sudden clarity. I know what Koth Vos meant now. I understand what he saw in me even as my red blade pierced his heart. I am still making a choice. My lord, I say, my voice steady despite the turmoil within. I believe I can extract the information more efficiently through targeted force techniques. The machine lacks precision. Vader considers this. Proceed. But be aware, 13th brother, that failure will have consequences. I approach the platform, standing directly before Toba. His eyes struggle to focus on me, consciousness fading rapidly. I reach up and remove my helmet, setting it aside. I want him to see my face, to know who makes this choice. I need direct contact, I explain, placing my hands on either side of Toba's head. I close my eyes, reaching into the Force. Our minds connect, but not as interrogator and subject. I create a shield around Toba's consciousness, a barrier against the neural interface's intrusion. Outwardly, it appears I am extracting information. In reality, I am protecting what remains of his mind from further damage. Through our connection, I speak directly to Toba's fading consciousness. I am sorry. For everything. Your father was right. There is always a choice. His response is weak, barely perceptible. You are Serik. I was. Perhaps I can be again. Aloud, I speak to Vader. I see it clearly now, my lord. The holocron is hidden beneath the living quarters, specific coordinates downloading from his memory. Vader steps closer. Show me. I project false images into the holographic display. A container home, a loose panel beneath a sleeping pallet, the holocron nestled in a hidden compartment, detailed enough to be convincing, precise enough to send Imperial forces on a focused search of a settlement that no longer exists. Curious, Vader says, that this information was so deeply buried, yet now emerges with such clarity. I sense his suspicion, his natural distrust. The child's resistance centers on protecting his father's legacy. Direct force connection bypasses this emotional barrier. I maintain the deception, knowing full well that Vader's immense force sensitivity might detect the fabrication. I am gambling with my life, with the child's life. But for the first time since my breaking, I am making a choice that is truly mine. The neural interface is causing catastrophic damage, the medical droid insists. Subject brain function, declining rapidly. Disengage the interface, Vader orders finally. The information has been extracted. The child's value now is solely as an Inquisitor, if he survives. The probes retract. Toba slumps in the restraints, barely conscious. Blood trails from his nose, ears, and eyes, evidence of the brutal invasion of his mind. "Take him to medical," Vader instructs. "If he lives, complete his conditioning. If not, dispose of the body." I replace my helmet, grateful for the mask that hides my expression. "Yes, my lord." "Prepare a strike team," Vader continues. "You will lead the recovery of the holocron personally, 13th brother." "It will be done, my lord." The lie comes easily, practiced through years of service, but now it serves a different purpose. Vader turns to leave, then pauses. "Your effectiveness in extracting this information is noted, but remember, loyalty to the Empire is absolute. There is no return from the path you have chosen." His words carry dual meaning, a warning that penetrates my newly forming resolve. Vader suspects something, but cannot yet be certain. I bow deeply. "The path is clear, Lord Vader." After Vader departs, I oversee Toba's transfer to the medical bay. The child hangs suspended in a Bacta tank, his small body floating in the healing fluid. The medical droids offer little hope for full recovery. The neural damage is extensive, perhaps permanent. "Prepare him for transport to the central medical facility," I instruct the lead medical droid. Lord Vader requires specialized equipment for his continued conditioning. The droid acknowledges the order without question. In the Inquisitorius, orders are not questioned, especially those invoking Vader's authority. I linger in the medical bay, watching Toba's unconscious form, plans forming in my mind. The second sister finds me there, her masked presence announcing itself through deliberate footsteps. "The Grand Inquisitor requires your presence, 13th brother. The strike team awaits your command." I turn to face her, my posture revealing nothing of my intentions. "Inform the Grand Inquisitor, I will report momentarily. Final medical assessment of the subject is required for Lord Vader's report." She tilts her head slightly, studying me. "You removed your helmet during the interrogation. Against protocol." "Lord Vader authorized direct force connection." I respond smoothly. "The helmet inhibits such techniques." "Indeed." Her tone suggests skepticism. "The Grand Inquisitor found this deviation." "Interesting." She leaves, but her warning is clear. I am being watched. Suspected. My window of opportunity narrows with each passing moment. That night, as the fortress settles into night cycle, I make my final preparations. I access the medical bay using override codes, dismissing the droids with false authorization from the Grand Inquisitor. Toba remains in the Bacta tank, his condition stabilized but still critical. I carefully extract him from the healing fluid, wrapping his small form in thermal blankets. He stirs slightly, eyes fluttering open for a moment before closing again. Consciousness returns in fragments, but I sense recognition through our force connection. "We must move quickly," I tell him, though I'm unsure how much he comprehends. "Can you hear me, Toba?" His lips move, forming words too weak to hear. I lean closer. "Sarek," he whispers. "My father was right." Something breaks within me at his words. The last walls of conditioning crumble, washed away by a tide of clarity. I have made my choice. "Yes," I respond, lifting him gently. "Your father was right. About many things." I carry him through service corridors, avoiding security monitors and patrol routes I know by heart. My Inquisitor clearance grants access to areas normally restricted, but I must move quickly. My absence from quarters will be noted soon. The auxiliary hangar houses training vessels and small transports. I select a standard TIE Inspector Shuttle, a vessel with moderate range and minimal weaponry, but hyperspace capability. Using command codes, I disable the tracking beacon and security alerts. As I secure Toba in the co-pilot seat, alarms begin to sound throughout the fortress. My absence has been discovered sooner than expected. I accelerate preparations, initiating launch sequences while disabling hangar security protocols. The shuttle lifts off as blast doors begin to close across the hangar entrance. I push the engines beyond safety parameters, guiding the vessel through the narrowing gap with precision born of Imperial training. The shuttle scrapes against the closing doors, but breaks free into the night air of Nur. Immediately, comm channels flood with orders to return, threats of immediate destruction. I ignore them, pushing the shuttle into a steep climb toward the upper atmosphere. Behind us, TIE fighters scramble from the main hangar, their distinctive engines screaming in pursuit. Toba stirs beside me. Where are we going? I enter hyperspace calculations, searching for a destination beyond Imperial reach. I do not know yet. Away, somewhere they cannot find us. They will hunt you now, he says, his voice weak but clear. Like you hunted the others. Yes, I acknowledge, the weight of my decision settling fully upon me. I am now what I once pursued. Fugitive, traitor. The first laser blasts from pursuing TIEs streak past the shuttle. The vessel shudders, shields barely absorbing the impact. We are outgunned, outmaneuvered. A conventional escape is impossible, but I am no conventional fugitive. I close my eyes briefly, reaching into the Force. Not the dark power I wielded as an Inquisitor, fueled by rage and pain. Something older, nearly forgotten. The connection I was trained to use as a Padawan, before the Purge, before my fall. It answers, tentative but present. I guide the shuttle into evasive patterns, movements that seem to anticipate the TIE attacks seconds before they occur. The Force flows through me, not as a weapon but as intuition, as connection to the space around us. Preparing for hyperspace jump, I tell Toba, though the coordinates remain uncertain. Where does one hide from the empire that spans the known galaxy? As if in answer, I feel a tug through the Force. A direction. A possibility. I adjust course, following the sensation without fully understanding its source. The holocron, Toba whispers suddenly. My father said it would guide us to safety. Your holocron was destroyed on Jora, I respond confused. He shakes his head weakly. Not on Jora. Here. His small hand presses against his chest. Inside my tunic. Always with me. I glance at him in surprise, maintaining evasive maneuvers with one hand while helping him retrieve the object with the other. From within his medical garment, he produces a small Jedi holocron, its geometric patterns glowing faintly with inner light. Your father gave you this, I say, understanding dawning. The memory was real, but the location was false. Toba nods. He said to keep it hidden until I found someone who remembered the light. The significance of the moment is interrupted by a direct hit from a pursuing TIE fighter. Warning lights flare across the shuttle controls, shield failure imminent, weapons lock detected. How does it work? I ask urgently, executing a desperate dive toward Nur's oceanic surface. I do not know, Toba admits. It has never opened for me. I take the holocron, feeling its familiar weight. As a Padawan, I studied these artifacts, learned their secrets. Jedi holocrons respond only to Force users aligned with the light side. As an Inquisitor, I could never activate one. But now, in this moment of choice, of rejection of the dark path I've walked for years, perhaps something has changed. I hold the holocron in one hand, piloting with the other as laser fire intensifies around us. I close my eyes, reaching into the Force without anger, without hate, without the emotional fuel of the dark side. I am Serik Mal. I have done terrible things. I seek not forgiveness, but a chance to restore what balance I can. The holocron warms in my palm. Its edges shift, the geometric patterns realigning as the artifact recognizes something within me that I thought long dead. Light emanates from its core as it opens, projecting coordinates into the shuttle's navigation system. It recognized you, Toba whispers, awe in his voice. I enter the coordinates into the Navicomputer, a remote system in the Outer Rim, beyond effective Imperial control. Whether sanctuary or simply temporary refuge, it offers our only chance. The hyperdrive spins up as our shields fail completely. The next direct hit will destroy us. Imperial communications demand surrender, promise mercy that I know does not exist. Hold on, I tell Toba, pushing the hyperdrive activator before calculations fully complete. A dangerous maneuver, but our only option. Stars stretch into lines around us as the shuttle lurches into hyperspace, leaving the pursuing ties and the fortress of Nur behind. The incomplete calculations mean our journey will be erratic, potentially damaging the hyperdrive, but the alternative was certain death. In the sudden quiet of hyperspace, I remove my Inquisitor helmet for the final time. I stare at its black surface, at the reflection of eyes no longer Sith yellow but returning to their natural color. I place it on the floor of the shuttle and crush it beneath my boot. We may not survive, I tell Toba honestly. The Empire has resources beyond imagination. Vader will never stop hunting us. Toba looks at me. His injuries still severe, but his spirit unbroken. My father said that survival is not the most important thing. How we live is. I nod, understanding finally what Koth Vos saw in me even at the end. Not who I had become, but who I might yet be. The possibility of choice, of change, that exists as long as we draw breath. Rest, I tell him, checking, the medical monitors attached to his small form. We have a long journey ahead. As Toba drifts into sleep, I remain at the controls, watching the hyperspatial tunnel that carries us to an uncertain future. I am no longer the 13th brother. I am Sirik Mal again, though not the same Sirik who once trained as a Jedi. I am something new, shaped by darkness but choosing light. Behind us lies a path of blood and ashes, of Jedi hunted, of children broken, of worlds terrorized in service to the Empire. I cannot undo these things, cannot bring back those I have killed, cannot restore what I have destroyed. But before us lies possibility, a child saved rather than corrupted, knowledge preserved rather than perverted. Small acts of resistance against an empire built on fear. It will not be enough. It can never be enough to balance the scales of what I have done. But it is a beginning. The holocron glows softly on the console between us, its light a counterpoint to the red emergency indicators flashing across shuttle systems. I place my hand upon it, feeling the connection to Jedi who came before, to a legacy I once sought to destroy. I make this vow. I whisper to the sleeping child, to the universe at large, to whatever remnant of the Force might still acknowledge me. I will protect this child. I will honor his father's sacrifice. I will resist the empire that created me with every breath that remains to me. The words have no special power, carry no mystical weight. They are simply a choice, spoken aloud. But in that choice lies everything that the Empire, that Vader, that the Inquisitorius sought to extinguish. The ability to choose differently, to change, to reject the path of darkness even after walking it so long. Alarms sound as the hyperdrive fluctuates, the incomplete calculations causing instability in our course. I make adjustments, knowing our journey may end abruptly in the cold void between systems, but for now, we move forward, away from what was and toward what might be. I am Sirik Mal. I was once the 13th brother. I am now something else entirely. Not Jedi, not Sith, not Inquisitor. Simply a man making amends in a galaxy consumed by darkness. And for the first time since I ignited a red blade, since I swore loyalty to the Empire, since I began hunting those I once called family, I feel something like peace.